All right, we're gonna unbox this. This is the Ryobi 7-inch wet tile saw. Now this is something I need for a project at work, but rather than buying something cheap from Harbor Freight, which I did try, I realize even though I only do tile work maybe a couple times a year, it's definitely worth having a wet tile saw. And since I'm in the Ryobi universe, even though this is a corded tool, speaking of which, I didn't run an extension cord out here. Okay, so there's the unboxing part. I don't want to set that where it's going to get wet, just in case something doesn't work out. So let's have a look at this very, very shiny new toy here. Put all the packaging together there. All right, first thing I'm going to point out is it's hard to tell the front from the back. I'm going to guess that's the front, given that the power switch is there. It really looks a little ambiguous there. Will this reach my GFI? Good question. You know what I didn't see so far? Instruction manual. Ah, haha, smart. They put it all inside. So we're gonna go through. I'm not going to read the instruction. Well, maybe I should. There's some parts on here I don't quite recognize. I know what that is. Probably not going to attach that. I don't know yet. It supposedly comes with the wrenches and everything. This would be our blade, I'm sure. Either that or it's the installation floppy disk. Nobody? So it's got an overflow. You know what, I'll have to use the GoPro and get a good shot of that because it's kind of interesting. Right there's an overflow. Apparently if you fill it past this level, it will get all over your workspace, but that's fine. So we'll get to that in a bit. I want to attach this to the workbench, maybe after I get everything assembled. So we'll stop the GoPro for now. I'm going to run through these instructions real quick and then I will come back to you.
20 minutes later.
Okay, so I decided to skip through the assembly process because it was a little tedious there. But we've got our splash guard. It's at a height just a little higher than the piece of tile we're going to cut. Now I need to open this up. And I might as well just take that all the way out. I've got the overflow plug, so the water you only want to fill to that point. Conceivably, I should be able to use this inside. I don't see why not, but I'm testing it outside first. So we're going to take the garden hose here, and it's got a leak on it, but I'm going to fill this up. Should have the GoPro on for this. Okay, and I've already hit the overflow. Now that we've maybe slightly overfilled this, you can probably see water on my table, maybe not. I just got right to the rim of that. I'm gonna put the cover back on here. Now this is our workpiece, and I'm gonna cut just some 1-inch rips off of this, give or take. I'm gonna use the measurements, the guides on the saw itself. So we're going to put the GoPro, see how well that holds up. I don't want to bring this up. Let's figure this out. There we go. Okay. So it's going to see the actual cut point. So the next thing I want to install is the guide. And this works much like any other table saw. And I'm just going to cut 1 inch off. And let's see what happens here. I've not turned this on yet. Ooh, lots of water. So we're gonna go real slow. It's not that loud actually when it's just idling. Sounds like it's washing something. All right, here goes nothing. Catching on something. Ah, it's this fucking thing. Okay. Okay, right at the end there, I've got a little bit of a chip, and I think I was trying to force it through. You can see, let me get up close to one of these cameras here. You can see it wasn't a perfect cut at the end. Most of it pretty smooth, but practice may be the key here. Let's do a freehand cut here. Let's just try that. Like, pretend I had a line drawn. Still got that. And we've still got that little jagged cut there. Okay, so I wanted to jump in here and mention a couple of things. First of all, the audio out in the yard there was not great, and the reason is I hadn't quite dialed in everything with the lavalier mic. I do believe it's a lot better now. Back to the table saw, the wet saw. The hood bracket, that little metal bracket that you see here, needs to be perfectly aligned with the blade. Otherwise, your cut is going to catch that as you push the tile through. That was part one of the problem. Part two is the fence. When you clamp that fence down, the back end doesn't really stay all that secure, and it doesn't line up perfectly. It's not as accurate as, say, my DeWalt table saw. But again, for 150 bucks, what do you want? So you just make sure you've got that aligned pretty straight. And if you've got to err on the side of it being a little further from the blade on the far end of it. Another trick to avoid that little nick at the very end of the cut is to use a little bit of this blue tape. You can tape your cut, and you might be able to see your mark a little better on the tape than you would on the tile itself. It won't rinse off the tape quite as easily from the water flowing as it would from the ceramic tile. So that's a trick I did not actually end up using. What I ended up doing was just going really, really slow for that last inch, as you'll see. Regards to the power switch being in a weird spot, it's still the case. However, I'm a little bit of an idiot. There's a piece of tape over it, and I was operating the switch with that tape over it, thinking that was supposed to be there to prevent you from accidentally turning it on, but no, you peel the tape off and it makes a little more sense. It is still underneath the table, and it's a little fumbly when you're working with it. With all that out of the way, we're going to go to the job site here where I actually used this saw on the job. We've got an elevator at this restaurant I do maintenance for. It has doors on both sides for the kitchen side and the dining side. And there's a little area of tile on either side of the elevator. This is what it looked like before, and I'll show you the after pictures after I show you the saw in use. So back to the video. Again, I'm amazed at how quiet this thing is. Nice clean cut. Now I'm going to go over to where it's going and make sure this is right before I cut 3 more. Okay, so my final thoughts on this product: for the price, portability, ease of use. If you only do tile work once in a while, this is perfect for you. It takes a little bit of practice to get it right. Do some practice on some scrap at home, just like I did earlier in the video, and you'll have no problems with this. I would not recommend it for professionals. I don't think any professional would even give this thing a second look. If you're a DIYer, you do things at home, around the house, you know, a couple times a year you might break the thing out, Just clean it up when you're done, and it's pretty easy to clean up. You can clean it up with a water hose. It is a wet saw. Just don't get any water on the underside where the motor and electrical stuff is. I do general maintenance at restaurants and things like that. I do patchwork, or, you know, little strips like the elevator here. Come out just about perfect. So for $150, it paid for itself the very first time I used it on the job. If you only do tile once in a while, my verdict is highly recommended. Something to have on hand. Thanks for watching. If you like videos like this, I hope you'll subscribe above and check out one of these other 2 videos. See you next time. So let's get a downward angle. Damn it. Come on.